Hello everyone, welcome back to the second episode of How to YouTube. As I said in the last episode, today we are going to be doing how to edit your videos. Now, I am going to be going through how to use Adobe Premiere Pro, but before you click away, that's not the entirety of this video. I'm also going to be giving you tips and tricks which you can use in your own editors as well. So just what I do to create an engaging video, at least I hope they're somewhat engaging. Things like that, where I get my music from, just a few other tips and tricks like that. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Now, I get a lot of questions about what do you use to edit, and I use the Adobe suite for basically everything. So for editing videos, I mostly use Adobe Premiere Pro. So to get this, you might be wondering, I actually have no idea how to get this. Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe. Now, the reason I don't know how to get this is actually because my school gives it to me for free. You can do a free trial though if you guys are looking at maybe just seeing if Premiere is the right thing for you. Premiere is quite advanced in terms of it can do advanced stuff. It's what a lot of professional film companies use as well, to my knowledge, along with DaVinci Resolve. So there is a few other editing programs out there, like Sony Vegas, I think, as well. I have used Camtasia in the past, like 5 years ago, so I don't know how good they are now. It's probably, before I started editing on Premiere, I did just use like Windows Movie Maker, things like that, free things which could kind of get me in the step of what does it look like to edit a video. But I'm going to be trying to making this video as simple as possible for you guys, but please do know that I also do have about like 5-6 years of experience using Premiere Pro, so I kind of know my way around just kind of really well. So yes, as you can see, you do have to purchase it. I don't think it's actually that expensive to me because I do use it every single day. So yeah, it's about Australian dollars $77, but just getting Premiere is only $30 a month, and to me that's actually super good. But I'd probably get the all apps one because I use After Effects, Premiere, a little bit of Audition, and Photoshop all the time, and honestly I use Adobe products all the time every single day. So this price is actually very reasonable for me, but it might be a bit expensive for you, especially per month. But I also do believe that you get what you pay for. I think it's probably basically impossible for you to find a super good editing thing which you can use everything. I know that you might be able to get multiple editing apps which are free, but it's just a little bit more complicated. If you have a Mac machine, like an Apple device, then I think you have iMovie installed, and iMovie is good from what I've heard. I've never used it, but they do have some limitations compared to Premiere, things like that. But yeah, it does cost money, but to me, you get what you get, and if you're a student, then get it for cheaper. So yeah, because my school does pay for it for me, like my school provides it to me, maybe you should check with your school or education area whether they have some sort of agreement with a video editor company. I mean, my school might only do it because we have a film class, we have like film stuff there, so that might be just why we have it, but I think a lot of universities will probably partner with Adobe for some stuff. Anyways, now that we know how to install it, you're just gonna normally install it like a normal thing, and you're gonna open up to this. It might have a little tutorial thing, I don't even remember now, but to me, maybe it's like the what's new thing pops up like this, just X out of it, and here where I have all of my recent projects is going to be blank. What you're going to want to do is you want to click the new project button on whatever editor you are using and name it something. Today I'm editing a video that I uploaded earlier in the week, which is WikiHow controls my star stable. WikiHow shows me how to play star stable. At the point of filming this, I do not have a name, so I'm just going to call it WikiHow. I don't make these super technical, just a little unique kind of thing. Now, these I keep basically the same as default. You can choose whether your project file is saved to. Oh yeah, quickly, one thing that I want to say is that Premiere uses a lot of space on your computer. I had a computer which had about like 160 gigabytes or something, but it was an SSD in the laptop, so it was really fast, but not good space at all. Like, I was editing off an external hard drive because I just had no space, so keep that in mind. But Premiere, like Adobe products, not only use a lot of your computer, they also use a lot of space. Here you guys can see my task manager, and Premiere is not using a lot right now because we're not doing anything, but it does start to use CPU a little bit. Now, I built my own computer for video editing, so this is going to be good whatever I do, except for my RAM. I'm upgrading my RAM soon. This, you guys can see, I'm using 13.5 gigabytes of RAM right now, and a lot of laptops only come with 8 gigabytes of RAM, so your Premiere might not be as good, and you might want to shut out of everything except for Premiere just to try and maximize performance. If you guys have any questions about maximizing performance in the comments below, I will try and respond to them, along with any other questions you have throughout the video. Once again, this might also be a bit of a longer video as I try to explain as good as I can, as well as possible. Just try and show you guys how I edit. So yeah, my biggest tip would just to be storing your save files and all your cache files on the computer you have, or a high-speed hard drive. I don't know if that makes sense. Once you've chosen where you want to save your video files, keep everything else the same. Make sure this is using your graphics card, your GPU acceleration. Premiere doesn't use a lot of your graphics card, except they're starting to make it use more of all of your computer, including your graphics card. But if you use an editor like DaVinci Resolve, it uses a lot of your graphics card, so maybe look into that. Display format, I haven't touched any of these. Just make sure capture format is in high definition video instead of just definition. I don't know. Just make sure it says HDV, and then we can click OK. And then it'll load up. Well, bang, there we go. Now, the first few times I edited in Premiere, I gave up. Like 5 times it took me to then just sit down and actually edit a video, like just try. It took me a long time, you guys. Right now I'm looking at this and I'm like, I am in my home, but you guys might feel a little overwhelmed. You might not know what to do, and that is why I am here to guide you through it. Do not lose faith. Pause the video, take some time. Pause the video at a stage, watch some TikTok, and then come back and we can continue. First things first you want to do is import media. Now there is a little folder button down here which you can click, and it creates a folder for nice organization. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. I'm gonna name this one clips. Now if you double click it, oh my gosh, there's too many settings that I've personalized over these years. If you go down to edit, preferences, and you come down to, I don't know, let's just click general. I actually don't know where it is. There it is. And now in bins, I changed my double click to open in a new window. It's usually open in a new tab, but that is why mine opens in this new window thing here. Yours might open down here as well. So, but yeah, this is also because I find it neater just to be able to look at all of my files down here, my folders, and also all of my files in my clips bin. And I can also drag it across to my second monitor, which you guys can't see, but yes, so that's easy. Now to import a file, all you do is you double click in the empty space. I have all of my video files under a section called Starshine. This was when I filmed my first like proper kind of video on this computer, and I named it Starshine because I filmed the Starshine Ranch videos, and I was trying to be organized, but I never like kind of finished being organized. I just kind of kept it like that. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna click the video files that I need, and I'm hoping that that is it. Let's click the open button, and it might take a little while to load depending on your video files and also your computer. Alright, so this one here, you guys might get an error message. I believe this one might have been corrupted. I think I ran out of space, which keeps happening. I need to stop filming in MP4. Just thought I'd jump in here to tell you guys the supported video files of Premiere. This, of course, it also supports like PNG, JPEG, MP3 files for music and stuff. But I mentioned this in my last video, but OBS can also record in MKV, but Adobe Premiere does not support the video format MKV. So if an error comes up that your video format is not supported, then you need to find a way to convert your video file from that format to another. There is some good ones online. I used to use Handbrake, but OBS can convert, like OBS Studio, not OBS Streamlabs, only OBS Studio can convert MKV to MP4, which I covered in my last video. Because now I'm going to have missing footage, which I'm going to have to try and edit in, but hey, life of an editor. Now we have all of our footage here. Unfortunately, I don't know if I've just done something wrong, but everything keeps importing in the wrong filter mode. Let's just do name. There we go. Everything's in the right order now, I think. Now what I do is you just click the first video files, and I'm going to go through the basics of just how to cut a clip, split a clip, things like that, and then I'll go through other stuff I do. So you just click on this, drag it onto your empty bar thing down here called a timeline. Now you can see this thing. This first layer here called V1 is your video layer 1. Now you have 2 audio layers. If you guys remember in the OBS, how to use OBS video, I told you guys to make sure when you're selecting 2 audio tracks in your export of your video file, then make sure your editor can support 2 layers of audio, and mine can. I do know that some people can't, like some editors can't, or some editors you have to like change some settings to be able to get all of the layers, but Premiere can have as many layers as you wish, so it's pretty fantastic. Now to edit a clip, you can drag this little blue line through the timeline. You can click the spacebar to let it continue playing. My thing might be a little laggier because I'm also recording, so that uses some of my computer's performance. You can also click the start and the stop button. Next to this play and stop button is back a frame, forward a frame, back 1 frame, forward 1 frame. Now if you think about this, I record my footage at 60 frames a second, so if I click this 60 times, I will go back 1 second. The ones next to that is go back to the start of the footage on your timeline, and then the one on the other side is go to the end of the footage. These 2 brackets here is to show end point, so this is where your video will begin. The other one is to end it. Now if you exported this, aka like saved it to an uploadable video file, I don't know how much you guys know about video terms, but you'll hear the word export later in the video, but it's only going to basically produce this part of the video. Everything after this endpoint here, it will not load, like this will not be in your final thing. To get rid of this, you just have to right click at the top and click clear in and out. We'll go over in and out later in the video. Everything else up there I don't really use. Now down to the basics of how to trim your clip. Now just pull it forward to wherever you want to start it. Now obviously you guys can see that here, these little wave lines here is where I'm speaking, and I like to cut out all the parts where I'm not speaking unless there's a purpose to it. Basically this part at the start here is just me making sure my recorder is recording before I start speaking. So I can go ahead and drag my playhead to just before that starts. Now there's 2 ways to cut your footage. You can either go, hang on, let's zoom in a bit. You can either go to the start of your clip and you can see there's a little red bar. You can click on it and click and drag it. Now it should snap to your blue line, as you guys can see, or when you guys are editing, it'll kind of snap. If it does not snap, whoops, that's not what I wanted to click, don't mind me you guys, then as you guys can see it's not snapping anymore. That's because you've turned off snapping. Now to turn on snapping, you either click the S key on your keyboard, or you guys can see up here that it is the little magnet tool, so you want to make sure it's blue, and then it will snap to the time code, and it just makes it super easy to trim it. Now the second way, which is the way that I kind of switch between the 2, but there's this cutter tool right here. This is the razor tool. The shortcut is C. I always keep my 2 fingers. I keep my middle finger on C, my pointer finger on the V button, and then I have my thumb on the spacebar to start, stop, C to cut the clip, and then V to go back to normal pointer. So the other way you can cut is just click C or click the little razor button here, and you can once again just click wherever you want and it'll cut the footage. Then you can click on the footage, or you can highlight the footage by clicking and dragging the space around it and clicking the delete button on your keyboard. Or If you have snapping enabled, then you guys might be able to tell when you guys are in your editing, but it basically snaps to the blue line anyways, and then bam, you've gotten rid of some empty space. That's basically the start of my editing process. Now, what I actually usually do at the beginning is I drag all of my footage onto the timeline. So up here you can see that these icons have turned blue because they are in the timeline. There's one for video, there's one for audio. Now if I click and then I click shift and then I click the final clip, everything will be highlighted. I can now click from the first clip, drag everything onto my timeline. You can see that I've actually filmed for 38 minutes here. This is not going to be fun for me to edit down into a 15-minute video, so we'll have to see where this goes. The first thing that I always do when editing is just go through all of my footage and I listen back to it, and I see where I want to delete any areas using that same CV, cut, drag, snap, whatever it's called method, and I also get rid of any blank space between when I'm not speaking. Let me see if this is an example here. You can hear that this break here doesn't have any purpose. I was just breathing in. Sometimes I accentuate that by zooming it in or out if like I make some sort of joke, or if I'm looking at something, then I zoom it in. It makes the pause seem more purposeful than just leaving it in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I don't want this pause, so you just cut it out. And I'm gonna do that for all of the footage that I have. Now, you guys can see that I have got a gap between my two footage, but I have got 30 minutes more of footage over here. So you can either zoom out and highlight them all. Once again, you want to make sure you highlight them all and then click and drag them to match up, or what's even easier is you can click this little empty space here. It's going to be highlighted and you click the delete button. Sometimes this doesn't work. Let me show you an example. That whole delete thing will not work if you have got two files underneath it, two overlapping things, and then you click delete, because they'll crash. Basically what it's trying to do is it's trying to delete everything from the right side of that empty space forward, but since these two things here are colliding, then it can't delete any space. If we had a gap between these two audio files, I can delete this little gap here, no problem, but I can't do it here either because it's trying to delete these files forward as well. I'm not sure if that's making sense, but basically if you have that trouble, there's these things called lock layers here. You can lock it and then you can delete them. So I'm going to go ahead and lock all of these 3 layers. Then you click delete and you can delete that space for the music. But I don't want music right now, so ignore this. It doesn't exist. Now, there is one final way that you can get rid of empty space, but there's a little tool here called track select forward. There's also one called track select backwards. How I opened that was I went ahead and I held onto the track select, just hold down the button and then you can select the other one. This is you are highlighting everything to the left of where you click, and then the other one is highlighting everything to the right. So everything is unhighlighted, but when you click on that empty space with that select tool, then everything is selected to the right. You can go ahead and click it and drag it forward again, but I usually just click it and delete. Easiest thing to do. So I think I've explained all the basics for what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to jump in if I have anything to add, but other than that, you just kind of sit here for 38 minutes listening to yourself deleting blank space and anything that you don't think needs to be included in the video. It's literally been 2 seconds, but I'm going to tell you guys that I edit as I go as well. So since this is the intro, my intros are usually zoomed in. To zoom in your footage, you click on your footage and then you might be in the source thing. You just need to click over to effect controls. You're like, it's blank. Just click on footage. This thing called video, audio stuff appears. Click on your motion thing. There's this thing called scale. Basically just drag it to the right, which will zoom it in, drag this to the left, which will make it go down. On the position, just play around with these and you can just drag it wherever you want it to go. And I do this throughout the video. If there's anything that I want to zoom into and accentuate, then I will. I'll discuss that later in the video if I want to show that to you guys. Here I already have an example of I'm talking about how I'm liking the outfit, and I repeat it twice, and I really want to accentuate the second time that I say I like it. This will help keep your audience entertained because they're not looking at the same frame. It'll give the eye something else to get used to or something. I'm not a scientist, so I'm gonna zoom this part in. Now, using Star Stable is really good because, as you guys can see, it's a little blurry. Okay, one thing I should go through is you might get yours and it's full. Full basically means this little bar over here means when you're playing it back, it's playing in full quality. That's what it'll look like basically when you export the video. If you play it in a half or a quarter or an eighth, it will look worse for you when you're watching it back here. It'll be all blurry and not good. It'll be all blurry and not good, but it'll run better and smoother. So it just depends on your video, on your computer as well. I edit and film at 4K, so my computer struggles a little bit with that sometimes, which is why I take it down to a quarter. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to keep it at full for just a second. As you guys can see, when you zoom in and out, the character's eyes is staying in the same spot really on the screen, which helps to not disorient your viewer. You really kind of, when you're zooming in just to accentuate something that your character is saying, you want to make sure their eye is kept in the same position on the screen. This might sound weird, but it's just a little film editing thing that I've learned over the years. If you're specifically talking about, say, the you'll goat, then you'd zoom into the you'll goat, and that makes sense to the viewer. But since I'm not zooming into anything special, but just trying to accentuate something I'm saying, I'm just gonna do a simple zoom into the character, and we are good to continue editing. Right, let's go through an editing thing. Now, right here, I'm talking about having seen other people on YouTube do WikiHow videos, and I've decided now as I edit, I think it would be really good to pop something up on the screen of other YouTubers doing that. So let's go ahead and type into YouTube WikiHow shows me. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go ahead with it, if I can find something that I think will suit the video. So I've gone ahead and I've opened the snipping tool on my computer. I'm going to snip this little video title here. I'm going to click File, Save As, and I'm going to call it WikiHow. Now in my project thing, I'm just going to double click and I'm going to navigate to Pictures and open up WikiHow. I'm going to type it in the file, select and open. Now what I can go ahead and do is I can drag this onto the timeline and I can drag it above my other video layers. And I can resize this one the same as before. But what I like to do is I've got this folder in my editing effects called frequently used. This is where I put all the effects that I use frequently into, and all my custom filters as like custom effects as well. So training time, Instagram basically makes it so it does my training time thing. I don't know, it's a bad example. But what you need to navigate to is you can search for this, but it's just called drop shadow. Add some depth to the video, chuck it onto your little picture here. Put it at 100%, drag it away a little until, okay, not the direction. Drag the distance away until it looks good, and then always soften it, looks good. And then you guys might know, but I've got some sound effects. In my computer, I've got them saved under editing stuff because we're very organized. And sometimes I import this entire folder into my editing thing, but I need to sort it out a bit more because the only thing I really use now is my mouse click effect and my pop effect. These are sound effects that I found free to use on YouTube. Now these, if I double click on them, they were gonna open in my source tab up here. As you guys can see, there's a lot of blank space here, but I want to sync this pop-up directly with when my little WikiHow lesson thing shows on my screen. And the easiest way to do that is if I click and drag the little bar thingy in here, I don't know, just click on the blue bar that's there and drag it to the start of your sound effect. Mine actually starts about here, even though the wavelength isn't until here. And now come down here and you can click the little mark in button, which we did speak about before. And then I just leave it like that because it doesn't matter if there's empty space at the end. Now what I do is it has been saved as that into, in my little thing down here. So if I drag it onto here now, you'll see that my video clip, like the little audio clip, doesn't actually start until we've cut it up here. So now it'll be able to pop up on the screen like so. Beautiful. I also do that for my mouse click one. I drag it until the sound starts and I click the in button, all I do. And yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna continue editing. Okay, I should probably explain why I deleted such a large chunk of clip. So when you're editing your video, you really want to make sure you're always entertaining the audience. So if I go off on a rant and it's not an entertaining rant, or I just don't like the message that it portrayed, or I just didn't speak it correctly kind of thing, then I just delete it from the video. I usually aim for my videos to be about 10 to 15 minutes long. I kind of like my videos on the longer end because personally I also like watching 15-minute long videos. I think they're a good time, at least for me personally, and I think you guys have also liked that length as well. So we got a lot of cut out in this video, so I'm just deleting this entire section where I ramble a little bit. I don't like the message it sent, and we just don't, it doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to give you two examples of a silence gap that you can keep and a silence gap that you cannot keep. Now, this is the first silence gap. How to play Star Stable, because I don't know how to play anymore. That is the first one. Now, it might have seemed a little boring, but what I would do is I would just zoom this in simply and it creates a little bit more depth to the video, I guess. Watch this back now. Play Star Stable, because I don't know how to play anymore. You know how that kind of felt like the silence was shorter because you've kind of engaged the brain a bit more. Now, this is a silence gap that I would not keep. I don't know how to play anymore. I woke up at 4. You could keep it, but personally I feel like this gap is a thinking gap, whereas this gap was a pause for dramatic effect gap, if that helps you visualize it a bit more. So I'm gonna delete the other gap and keep this one here. I'm gonna show you guys something right now. So I want this to either zoom in or zoom out at the colors. So I think what I'm gonna do is have it actually zoom from the Google search. To do this, we need to add some keyframes. So now I've got it positioned where I want it to start at. You click the little timer buttons next to position and scale. Go ahead and highlight them too by clicking and dragging around them, and drag the two diamonds to the start of your clip. Now where you then place your footage, like your little picture thing, or your footage where you want it to be at the end of the zooming out thing. I think I want to have mine something like this. Now I highlight these and drag them to the end, and we should see some motion. Yeah. Whoa. Actually, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that looks alright. I'm so tired right now. This was a terrible idea. Yeah, let's just continue. Then let's go through how to record a voiceover in Premiere. So there's these little recording buttons here, and all you have to do is click it and then you speak. A file got corrupted here, but all I did was went through like very quick. Oh, well, we can go through how to do the sound then. It's the same as scale and stuff. If you click on the video clip and you're in effect controls, then under volume there's something called level and you can drag it up. I'm going to drag it all the way up to 15, which is the max for my version. I'm pretty sure the old max for older versions of Premiere was 6. So now I want to make it even louder, so I'm going to go ahead and right click my little green clip of audio and click nest. Click OK, and then I can make it even louder. And that is good, so we'll keep that there. So nesting can be used for a variety of reasons. That was a very basic, not really what it's meant for reason, but it's a little bit more advanced, so that's all I'm going to really touch on with nesting. Alright, time to show the next thing. This is how to speed up a clip. So I've got a clip here of reading something out and I want to speed it up. So I'm just actually going to quickly get my in and out point. So I want it to start being sped up about here where I've added a cut. I'm going to actually cut it there. Alright, I think I've got everything I want to speed up. Okay, yeah, so you want to start from here. We're going to right click on the clip again to bring up this big menu. There's one called speed and duration. Speed, when you go up to 200, that's basically making it go double time. So I think we're going to maybe try that maintain pitch audio so that my voice doesn't sound too crazy maybe. Now I'm just going to quickly add a text overlay to do this. There is a text tool either down here at the bottom of your tray or the T button, or you can go file, new, and you can add a legacy title, which is kind of different. I mean, personally, I just click on the little type tool, click on the screen. I'm going to type in... I'm going to click Control A to highlight everything. Now over in your effects panel, if you click the little arrow, you've got all of your text tools. Now the font that I use for most of my channel is Sweet Purple. Please do not steal that. I like to think that is kind of my brand. I mean, you can take it, but it was my brand first, so yeah. I'm then going to add a stroke down here. Sorry, you click on the button, I change the color to black, and I drag this up and down to create a stroke, and then you can do the same for shadow. Just click the box. I like to make this completely black, and then we can make it completely solid. Shadow, take it out a little bit, make it a little softer, and then we can unhighlight it and just like, I think I'm going to add another scale part here. So all of this part here is sped up, and I think I'm going to make this text smaller to bigger. So I'm going to make it really small here. We're going to drag that keyframe to the end, make it bigger, and drag that keyframe to the other end. Alright, so I have now finished doing the base edit for the video. This was one of the quicker videos that I've actually edited. It was longer, but it's very much sit down, not much editing involved. Say for a roleplay that uses a lot of editing, things like that just take more editing, take more like effects as well. I've barely touched these effects at all, where sometimes I'm using all of these in one video, so it can get kind of crazy. But now that I've done the base edit, what I do is I highlight everything and I move it back, and now we add the intro and the outro. My intro and outro were created on Adobe After Effects, so I'm going to have a separate tutorial for how I created my intro, because this actually took a few hours in After Effects. So I'll have a tutorial on that, because it takes a little longer it takes more than like 2 minutes for me to explain how to do this. But now I then add in all of my music. Let's just create a new bin and call it music. We try to be a little bit organized over here. Alright, I've got all of my music in a folder labeled music. I switched this music folder out for music that I'm using at the moment, the vibe that I want, so I changed this up for 2021. I use a website called Epidemic Sounds for my music. It is a paid music site, so I pay for the license for all of the music that I use. You guys like can't even ask me to give you the download, because basically I pay for one account. So on my extra gaming account, on my vlog channel, if I ever make one and things like that, I'd have to pay another 200 Australian dollars for copyright free music on those channels as well. So even if I give you these like downloads and stuff, you guys would still be copyrighted on your music, on your videos. So yeah, I use Epidemic Sounds. The pricing is here. I just use personal, which is 144 USD a year. It converted to just over $200 for me. I could have paid like $400 for like all my social media sites, but at the moment I'm okay with just using the music on my main channel. It's okay. You guys can start a free trial, and I also have a referral link in the comments in the description below. There's a link to my referral. Here's my referral link. Basically, if you guys use my URL, then you're actually helping me out, and if you end up actually signing up for Epidemic Sounds, then I can get available credit and things like that, so that I can spend less money on music and more money on giving stuff away to you guys as well. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, if you're feeling generous, then you can use my link in the description and it really helps out. Yeah, but yeah, I use Epidemic Sounds. I think it's great. You can also just search on YouTube copyright free music, but the problem with that happened to my old intro. The music got copyrighted. Like, it wasn't copyrighted, but then they decided to copyright it later, whereas by using Epidemic Sounds, you're kind of like, your music's not going to be copyrighted in the future because it's under a whole license as well. So I for sure know that my channel's not going to get any copyright strikes, things like that. So Epidemic Sounds, I'm not sponsored, but I love them, and hey, if they want to sponsor me, then like, come at me. So yeah, I get all of my music from Epidemic Sounds. My intro music is called Be Right There. I then just add it to the timeline and I cut out the music that's already in the intro clip. I then turn it down to about -30, depending on how loud my audio is. To do that is just like I said for earlier in the video, you just click on the soundtrack, under the audio tab, you just click volume, level, and you change it. Make sure you untick the stopwatch for that one though. If you don't untick the stopwatch, then you're going to find that as you're like listening through and you're adjusting the audio, you're going to listen back and you'll have created a bunch of keyframes and the audio level will just go like up and down. It won't be cute. So just make sure that you've unchecked this one and it's grayed out, whited out instead of the blue. Then what I do is I watch back the video, make some final touches. I am gonna add in the last bit of music we've got here, and then I usually just copy and paste my volume into every piece of music that I use all the way to the very end. Now, as you guys can see in this video, there's a few areas where I'm not speaking. When I don't do speaking, I usually add music with voices to it because it's a little bit more upbeat. So I'm actually going to find some music right now in Epidemic Sound for that. I love it because they have like more of what you like, so we're just gonna listen to this. I think I've used this music before, but I do like it. So we're gonna use red lights for this particular video. Let's just add it in. Now what I do is I go through to all the areas which have me not talking. Oh gosh, this part's a little bit difficult, but I'm gonna highlight all of the audio track. Okay, I really wish that I'd moved this. Okay, I did it wrong as well. That's okay, that's okay. Let's just lock both of the other audio layers and just get the music layer. We can drag it back, drag in red lights. Cut it here, drag this part down here. I'm sorry that I'm like really bad at explaining stuff, but it's just really hard for me to explain what I'm doing just because I just kind of do it. So hopefully you guys can kind of follow along. I've told you guys all the basics that you're going to need, so hopefully that is all right for you guys. I just realized that I've taken too much music away. That is it, and then I have my outro. I just chuck my outro in, and what I do is I add the transition additive, dissolve, and then at the end I do a dip to black transition. As I said before, I just have a little folder here. You can create a folder by clicking the folder button, and I have frequently used, and this is where I drag all of the effects that I use all the time to, and then I just cut it when the outro starts. I make it louder. We add a constant gain. If you guys need any help, make sure to let me know in the comments below, and I would be more than willing to help you guys out. I love editing. I love sharing my love of editing as well. Also know that there is lots of other tutorials on YouTube as well, which you guys can check out. They're super helpful as well. I'd also be happy to do more tutorials if you guys want, but I might put them on a second channel. I'm not sure, but we'll see. This is just basics. What I then do, what I really recommend that you guys would do with your videos is sit down and play your video from start to finish. Do not pick up your phone. Try and stay focused throughout the entire video, because if you can't watch your video to the entirety, then no one's going to then other people are less likely to watch your video through the entirety, and that's what you really want. If you find yourself getting bored at any part, then maybe that part's just a boring part and you need to scrap it, cut it out. It could also just be that you know what's going to happen next, but maybe you could find a way to spruce it up a bit in editing. That might take a while to get used to. You're not going to wake up overnight and know how to edit a video, know how to have your own style, keep audience engaged. It's just going to be trial and error. I've been doing trial and error for ages. I study film and TV. We don't study a lot about audience retention, but we do look at like what makes a good film, things like that, and I've hoping to learn more through YouTube as well, and also going to university doing film. Like, I'm a film nerd. That is why I'm still here making videos. My biggest tip to people starting out a YouTube channel is to be a film nerd. You're probably not going to grow YouTube famous or whatever overnight. It took me 6 years to finally start to grow a fan base, a community, a following. 6 years it took me. That was through persistence. It wasn't consistent every single day uploading for 6 years, but I uploaded my first video over 6 years ago now, and you grow as you get older as well. I'm much older than I was when I first started a YouTube channel, so you understand a lot more now, and yeah, you know how to entertain other people as well as just making a video for yourself. I don't know if there's anything else to say for me. I'm going to go ahead and watch this through. That's when I make any final touches. If I feel like anything needs a special effect, like a pop sound or like a click sound, transitions, things like that. If you guys want to check out this final video, then it is already up on my channel and you can see it in its entirety. If you guys want to see more edit with me's, then let me know in the comments below, and I might do some more edit with me's where I explain my editing process. So make sure to let me know if you want to see that. Once again, this was a very basic video. This was very much just I talked, I cut out all the quiet parts, added some music, sped some stuff up, things like that. So not too difficult, but if you guys do find it difficult, that's totally fine as well. As I said before, I'm not the best teacher at teaching this stuff. I've been using this program for like 6 years now, 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I can't even remember, but I'm very comfortable sitting here in Premiere. I can use it, I love using it, I can experiment, I know what I'm doing, kind of thing. So yeah, just make sure to let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully it was somewhat helpful for you guys. I'm sorry this video is probably going to be quite long, but I'm just trying to get as much information to you guys as possible. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give it a thumbs up though, because that supports this video, and also subscribe for more how to be a star stable YouTuber, YouTuber tips and tricks, and also just my other star stable content as well, which I upload every single day. But I hope you guys are having an awesome... Oh my gosh, I'm not even finished yet. Well, I almost left out the most important part of editing. Okay, I have to actually finish this video, so I will be right back with you guys after I finish up this video. Alright you guys, so I have finished editing this video. I've made all the changes that I want to. Everything is set. As you guys can see, what I do is I go, I'll clear in and out. I click the go to end of the timeline button, and then I click the right mark out, and it marks all of my sequence. Then you have to click into your timeline, then click Control M, and up will pop the export settings. Or you can click on File, go down to Export, and click Media. Exporting is basically taking your video from your editing project into an actual video. So what you want to, these settings are vital to having the best quality. For the longest time my videos didn't look the best because I did not have good export settings, so pay attention to this. This is possibly one of the most important things I can tell you. The first setting that you want to have is the format as H.264 or MP4, depending on what your editor export settings are, but in Adobe Premiere we have H.264. Now the preset, basically just match source, and we'll do it manually the next time. No commands. The output name is whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it Wiki How Video, because I'll know what that means, and I don't know. I'm just unorganized in the naming department. Now in your basic video settings, the width that I keep is my normal 4K because that is what my monitor size is. I don't scale up your video. If you scale your video up to 3840 by 2160, then you will find that your text will not be visible. It'll be all pixelated. It'll basically take the quality down. So whatever screen resolution you have, just keep the hit width and height the same. Keep the frame rate the same. Try and record at 60 frames per second, but if you can't, that's totally fine. Keep all of these the same. Now there's this button called render at maximum depth. You want to click on that so that it is ticked. Down here, encoding settings, it's gonna be, I think it's basic set to hardware encoding, but you do want it to be hardware encoding. Continue scrolling down to the next most important settings, which is under bitrate settings. This is VBR, is a variable bitrate, and you want to make it so it's a 2-pass. You can also do constant bitrate, but I find that the best quality you can get is VBR 2-pass. This means that Adobe Premiere will look over your footage 2 times. The first time it'll process everything, and the second time it'll be able to make a super good quality image. Now, your target bitrate, the first number, you want to set it to 15. And the next number, you want to set it to 40. And these are the best settings that I have found for the best quality. I mentioned bitrate in my OBS video as well, but it's also super important that you keep your bitrate high when you render out your video in Premiere as well. I found that out the hard way. I was so confused why my footage straight out of OBS looked so good. When I was editing it, it looked fine, but when I was watching it on YouTube, I was like, why does my footage not look as clear anymore? And I found out that my problem was that I wasn't rendering it at a high enough bitrate. Obviously, my bitrate might have to be higher in OBS, but I'm pretty sure everyone's bitrate should be around the same in Adobe Premiere. Mine might just be a bigger file size because obviously I have a 4K monitor screen. This is probably the most important thing that I can tell you, is to have a high bitrate setting when you're rendering out, because it'll stop all that glitchiness when you're moving around in the movement. It's a lifesaver. You also want to make sure that use maximum render quality is ticked down here as well. Did I just stutter? Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's basically all of my render settings. I keep everything else as default. Maybe that's not the best, but that is what I do currently. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. it will take you longer to render with a higher bitrate setting, but it'll be totally worth it. I'm going to hit export. I'm not going to record all of this. This will probably take me about 2 hours to render the video out, and then all I do is I upload it. But I might go through uploading settings in a different video, because there's actually a lot more that I do behind the scenes of uploading a video than you guys might see. So if you did enjoy this video, like I said before, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss another Star Stable video and another helpful video on how to be a YouTuber, specifically for Star Stable, but also just in general. So I hope you guys are having an awesome day or have had an awesome day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this helped you out. Remember to ask all the questions in the comments below, or you can contact me through my Instagram DMs. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!